Okay.
There are people like, for example, General Ibrahim Haruna. There is no instrument named after him. Somebody like General Hassan Katsina. In the whole of Abuja, there is no street named after him. In the whole of northern Nigeria, there is no street named after him. Somebody like General Gawan.
Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day to you, to every Nigerians in Nigeria and in the diaspora. Now we'll start this conversation taking a quote from Tamara Bolton, a lifelong writer, photographer and travel addict. She once said that this is the day we pay homage to all those who didn't come home. This is not Veterans Day. It is not a celebration. It is a day of solemn contemplation over the cost of freedom. That's a very good one. But how does this actually relate to what we will be discussing today? Let's take our second quote of the day, and this one is from Sun Tzu. He is an ancient Chinese general, military strategist, writer, and philosopher. He once said, "Regard your soldiers as your children, and they will follow you into the deepest valleys. Look upon them as your own beloved sons, and they will stand by you even unto death." Wow. Such an interesting quote, you'd say. But now let's see how this quote relates to what we will be discussing today. Warm greetings and welcome to The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annabelle Oji. So, I've had quite a number of people asking me, what is this brooch I'm always wearing? Well, it is not just a brooch or a badge. It is an emblem to honor and commemorate the Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2022, which is held every 15th of January. The event seeks to honor Nigeria's fallen heroes and men who gave their all to defend the nation's peace and sovereignty. The Nigerian Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a day set aside for sober reflection on the significance of the armed forces to the country and to pay tribute to servicemen and veterans. Now, globally, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is celebrated on November 11th every year, and it is known as the Armistice Day, commemorating the end of the First World War. But with the formal end of the Nigerian Civil War following the surrender of the Biafran secessionists on January 15, 1970, the date was changed to mark the restoration of Nigeria's unity. So later today, we will bring you all of the sights and sounds from the event that's organized to commemorate Armed Forces Remembrance Day 2022 in honor of those patriotic Nigerians on whose back this nation was built, those who were loyal to the faith, selfless, nationalistic, those who answered the clarion call at a time when their services were tremendously needed during Nigeria's Civil War, continental and sub-regional campaigns, peacekeeping missions, and what have you. So as we also use this day to honor those who are currently in the battlefield, in Sambisa Forest, in peacekeeping missions, in different war zones, right there in the devil's feet, without thoughts or fear of being bitten or swallowed, just to ensure that insurgency, insecurity, terrorism, and all other kinds of social vices are finally laid to rest. Today, tomorrow, and forever, we choose to honor you all, our gallant soldiers. Even though we do not see or know you all, we see the sacrifices and boundless work that you do. We see your effort, your sweats, and your blood that you've put in, and we celebrate you. So, dear viewers, please put aside whatever you are doing at the moment and let's observe 1 minute silence to honor our fallen heroes. as we pray that God give them the fortitude, the families, the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. And for Nigerians, may God give us all the fortitude to bear this irreparable loss. Amen. All right, let's go on a quick break. And when we return, we will be talking to our guests, two guests on the show. Stay tuned and don't move a muscle. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. It is the Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Happy Armed Forces Day to you all. Now we have our guest, Dr. Umar Mainasara. He is an international analyst on peacekeeping and nation building. He's here to help us, talk to us on the Armed Forces Day. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
It was a pleasure to have you. Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day to you.
Oh yes, it's a very important day in the calendar of history, not only in Nigeria but globally.
Most definitely.
Because without the armed forces, they are the handbuilders upon which peace and stability in any polity reigns. And when you are talking about Armed Forces Day, that is January 15th, it is a kola nut of 3 parts. The first part has to do with when the team of Commonwealth soldiers united with the Allied forces in defeat of the Hitler forces in the Second and the First World War. At the end of the First World War, precisely at the end of the Second World War, let me not go back into the history of the First and Second World War. After the Second World War, 11th of December every year was fixed by the United Kingdom to be commemorating the gallantry displayed by the members of the armed forces that participated in the World War. You remember a lot of Nigerian and indeed the black forces were integrated as part of the Commonwealth forces. And at the end of it, they secured victory over the Nazi forces of Germany. So at the end of it, December 11th was marked as the Remembrance Day. Now, when we gained independence in 1960, we decided to change the date.
Okay.
We decided to change the date to January 15th, just as a demonstration of our independence, not minding the fact that a greater or substantial number of those forces that fought on the front line as British soldiers were originated from Nigeria. They were picked from Nigeria. So the second fold of the January 15th has to do with the unfortunate incident that happened on the 15th of January 1966, when we experienced the first take of power with the use of gun rather than with the use of ballots. Military, some 5 majors, and with their own lieutenants, staged a military overthrow, which culminated into assassinations of 23 foremost nationalists across the divides in Nigeria, and the consequence of which we are still reaping up to today, the consequence of that intervention. Then the third one was, related to the second one. After the coup, a lot of things happened between January 15th down to 29th of July. A lot of things happened in 1966, which at the end of it, a counter coup came on board, and after close to a year of discussions, mediations, and the rest, another distinct came on board, government headed by General Gawan, and then disagreements within the rank and files of the armed forces regarding power sharing and so many other reasons that are underneath, plunged Nigeria into civil war. The war lasted for a period of 30 months and 14 days, and a total number of 3,417,000 people were lost in an unnecessary war that ended no winner, no vanquished. So when you are talking about January 15th or Armed Forces Remembrance Day, it depends on which of the armed forces do we want to remember. those ones that fought for the world peace, or these ones that Christianed their own actions as a revolution on the 15th January 1966, or those that fought during the Civil War, and stabilized Nigeria as no winner, no vanquished, after which the period of which we get successive governments coming on board up to the present day polity.
All right, now you said quite a lot in just few seconds. Now, as Nigeria and Nigerians are commemorating today being the Armed Forces Remembrance Day after decades of setting the tradition of setting out that day, that's the 15th day of January, to commemorate and to honor these people. Now, would like to know what exactly sticks out for you today. Does it actually go past the just marking that day in our calendars, and then does it actually, is it more, does it just end in sending tributes? Does it end in the parades that would be happening today? Does it also end in the words of consolations that will be sent forth, and just marking this day as Armed Forces Remembrance Day? And who are those people that we should be honoring this day?
Well, when you are talking about the celebration of Armed Forces Remembrance Day, symbolically they go about putting emblem on the chest of the clothes of the Mr. Somebodies, or laying wreath on the unknown soldiers' grave, and other things that have to do with military parades and the rest. All those things are paradoxically, what do I call it, really hypocritically paradoxical. That is the way I will call it.
Oh, really?
Because if you want to talk about Armed Forces Remembrance Day, you need to remember the sacrifice these people made. A lot of them lost their lives. And until recently, when President Buhari decided to, pay up all the outstanding balances of the pensions and other entitlements of the veterans of the Civil War, for example, it is really unfortunate for such entitlements to be delayed out to this particular time, because so many of them have died, so many of them have even lost their offsprings. Some of them in the course of the fight ended up as suffer meat for lions and other wild animals in the bush. Some of them got one form of deformity or the other. So many of them, their children, their families generally, got a serious encounter of how to even survive life and the rest. It's really a very serious, catastrophic experiment that we do not pray for a repeat of that in any way. Those young men that are championing separatism nowadays, most of them do not know, the ills of it. They need to go to Abakaliki War Museum for them to really appreciate, the type of equipments, machineries, ammunitions, and other things that were used during the distance. And then you need to go around the country to see the devastation done to the distance. I call it unnecessary distance because Nigeria was destined right from the beginning, and up to today, indeed, to be a united entity. At the end of it, at the end of all the sufferings, it is the name Nigeria that suffered, because we ended up saying no winner, no vanquish. So how much has the welfare of the armed forces people improved? That is number one. Number two, how much has the pay package of the members of the armed forces improved? So several other security agencies are having bumper salaries over and above the armed forces. And then when you take the number of our armed forces men, the totality of them, they are not up to 500,000. It's really unfair to this population of 210 million Nigerians. Then the emerging challenges we are facing, which has necessitated the drafting of the armed forces into the civil polity. When you take section 153, subsections K, L, and M, and then when you take sections 212 to 214 of the Constitution, it says that the internal security is the responsibility of the Nigerian police. And then where the police cannot adequately handle such a responsibility, then sections 217 to 219 says other members of the armed forces can be drafted. Now, under that,
so is there a misplaced
members of the armed forces
here?
are now being drafted into the civil discipline instead of them to protect the territorial integrity, or for them to only come when there is war.
So are you saying that there's a misplaced priority here?
Exactly, they are being overstretched. Instead of you to employ, multiple number of policemen to cater for the internal security and then professionalize the armed forces, and then you are bringing them here to come over any little slight internal problem, you draft the members of the armed forces. It is diminishing their charisma, it is diminishing their professional competence, it is diminishing their zeal and patriotism, because it's exposing them to so many things that ab initio they are not trained to be. It's exposing them to corruption, it's exposing them to civil life of enjoyment and other things. It's exposing them to so many things. So how much have you safeguarded and improved the armed forces as a profession? And then there are some gallant people that always you forget to remember them. And all those veterans that were forefront should appropriately be recognized, be remembered, and some appropriate, very serious edifices should be named after them. There are people like, for example, General Ibrahim Haruna. There is no instrument named after him. Somebody like General Hassan Katsina. In the whole of Abuja, there is no street named after him. In the whole of northern Nigeria, there is no street named after him. Somebody like General Gawan. General Gawan should be given appropriate distance for him to be the one that championed the post-Civil War rehabilitation, reconstruction, and rebuilding of Nigeria. General Gawan should be accorded his due respect. There is no reason why you cannot make Eagle Square General Gawan Square, for example, or you cannot make, there are so many other places you can make, but General Gawan needs to be recognized, not the culture of until when somebody dies, you now become to be shedding crocodile tears, say you want to immortalize. Somebody like General T.Y. Danjuma too. T.Y. Danjuma gallantry fought for the during the Civil War. Or somebody like General Ibrahim Babangida, who was even the one that used the brain he has, the wisdom he has, to really convince the frontline leaders of the Biafran wing to come and submit to the umbrella of national cohesion and national unity and surrender the district. Or somebody like Obasanjo, who was deep in the district, commanding troops in the district. So this type of
but when you say that they've not been recognized enough, does it have to be immortalizing them? Is that what you call honoring these people?
For example, if you take, for example, General Obasanjo and General Babangida, the recognition they got is on the altar of them being presidents or former heads of states. It's on the altar of that. I want something to go by means of recognizing them in the context of their professional service they selflessly deliver to the nation, bringing the nation together for peace, unity, congeniality, and harmony, for gallantry fighting for Nigeria's unity. For example, National Defense College can be made General Obasanjo's College, for example. General Babangida College. Defense Academy in Kaduna can be made General Obasanjo Academy, for example. These are the type of things. Or Command and Staff College, Jaji. There are so many of them that I want these veterans to be honored when they are alive, not the culture of when somebody dies, you come to be paying tributes to him. No, I don't like that one.
All right, yes. So we'll just try to manage our time this time, like how we are now, seeing that with all that you see today, because you talked about how much the young people and those calling for secession, they do not even understand the efficacy or the meaning of this day. I think you just begin to wonder if the youths of today, if they know the significance of this day, if they even understand how far it is, because even as a military person, you were told that you have to lay down your life to the service of humanity. And these people, on their back, that's where the nation Nigeria was built. So you just begin to wonder if can you actually find such patriotism in the young people today, or has the military, has it actually lost its luster?
No, no, no. The military we are having to know today, it has lost the pedestal. It's not the military of those days. It's not the military. You remember the military we got at the time of independence, where residue of the military men that fought the World War. They saw the essence of world cohesion, world peace, world stability. They saw the essence of that distance. And then the common brotherhood and amity among the foremost statesmen that spearheaded and midwifed the independence of Nigeria from Britain, attested to that. And then where we got it wrong, where we started having the problem was that you remember after 1914, the most important event was 1957, when we were preparing to hand over the destiny to Nigerians, the leadership of the country to Nigerians from the colonial rule. In 1957, there was this House of Representatives election, of which NPC won majority. 1957, the Queen came, and when the Queen came in 1957 and 1959, she came twice. Blueprint were prepared for the development of the country, for the development of the country, for the development of the armed forces, for the development of everything. And then in 1959, the coalition of the NCNC and NPC. NCNC means National Council for Nigeria and Cameroon, and the NPC means the Northern People's Congress. That, in other words, the political parties of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe and Letsa Amadou Bello, respectively. So these two now have their coalition, and then they formed the national government. And then when Sir Abubakar Tafawa Balewa visited United States, he went to New York to register Nigeria formally as a member of the United Nations Organization. 3 days were given as days of respect to Nigeria, the new emerging power bloc, the new emerging superpower, the representative of the black power, black people in the world. Works were closed, and then at the end of it, some donations were given to Nigeria, part of which were the naval ships to help us establish the Nigerian Navy, and part of which was the National Defense College, Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria, which was essentially meant to really develop arms and ammunitions, hardware of the military, uniforms and the rest of them, equipments, motor vehicles, aircrafts, bombs and the rest. That is what Pakistan and India and Korea are now using, that they have emerged as the second superpower of the world. But in Nigeria, recently we started producing salt from the company DIC because of lack of patriotism. We were given a donation of hydroelectricity generation plant, 7 turbines. We were given many things out of the respect. And then the military came with the zeal of developing the nation. Unfortunately, the same 1959 we discovered oil. That was the beginning of the problem.
So
the discovery of the oil. Yes, we discovered oil, and then we added another problem, the 1963 Constitution. We said every region should own its own resources and then give residue to the federal umbrella for the maintenance of the federation. And then from there, now this issue of jealousy of I have what, you don't have what, or this continued, and that culminated into the unfortunate assassination or the coup of 1966, and then the aftermath of which culminated into the Civil War and the rest of it. So you don't see that type of patriotism, gallantry, and the disposition in today's members of the armed forces, who cannot go to the bush to confront the insurgents, who will be waiting in air-conditioned rooms in luxurious apartments at our metropolitan centers, waiting for things to happen. No. Those people, the finest patriotic products Nigeria has ever produced, and they sacrifice their lives for Nigeria. So there is nothing insufficient, there is nothing too much that should be done to celebrate these people. They should be, those that are alive should be celebrated while they are alive. Those that are dead, their families should be combed up and be given appropriate recognition and decent appreciation by the nation. They are our really gallant people.
All right, great. So even as we begin to round up this segment,
yes.
Now we've seen our officers and men of the Nigerian military or armed forces take part in various peacekeeping missions in Congo, in Tanzania, in Sierra Leone, in Liberia. And even when you talked about the First and the Second World War, you talk about the Civil War, and then you said, according to you, said that not much has been done in order to appreciate these people, these gallant soldiers. Now, you remember a few days ago you had, because you talked about welfare, pension for veterans.
Yes.
Now, you remember a few days ago you had a protest that was staged in front of Federal Ministry of Finance, where some of our veterans and legionnaires came together to protest that they've not received 24 months of their pension arrears, and that's like
stipends, not even pension, because that one is not up to.
That's like more than 730 days, 2 years, and you just begin to wonder. So, Dr. Umar, at this point, are we supposed to be talking about welfare or pension or stipends for veterans? You know,
from 1980 to date, our members of the armed forces now changed. From 1980 to date, before 1980, you gain promotion based on the gallantry you display in military command operations. You understand? You go to the bush, you go to the mountains, you go to the rocks, you cross over rivers, you do all those things, you get medals. But from 1980, they now introduced the easy way going, whereby you sit in a cooled, air-conditioned room and then watch video. From the video, they now set examinations for you as the basis of your promotion. So you now get people going into what is called short service. You get people commissioned, they turn officer. You get somebody up to the level of becoming a general. He has never been into a very serious bush and sleep there for 3 days. And also you get these people that do not know what these veterans suffer.
So how much will all of this actually dampen the morale of those that are currently in service?
The display of affluence and the zest for better life by the present-day crop of senior military officers is really dampening the morale of already the veterans. You understand? They are regretting. So many of them are regretting that, why did I sacrifice my life? If I know, say, this will be this. How much is these stipends these people are protesting about? It's really an insult for, especially under President Buhari, who was a general in the military, who has gone through all the ranks, who should know where it pinches in the shoe. Definitely speaking, this type of things should not be entertained, should not be allowed. We should not be insulting our labors, because based on our national anthem, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. And apart from that, even by virtue of sections 21, 23 of the Constitution, you must respect the dignity of labor, the labor of our veterans. These people are there. Now that Nigeria is on fire, for example, is it not the military armed forces we are looking for them to come and solve the problem? Is Nigeria
actually on fire?
There is no magic. Yes, there seems to be, I use the word fire because it seems to be an intractable and insurmountable disease. Yes, we are trying to kill Boko Haram. Some emerging challenges are cropping up.
But the Chief of Defense Staff had said that all of this will end in very soon, and President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians that in less than 17 months.
How many times have we been hearing of this? When President Buhari was campaigning, how long did he say he will end it?
Okay.
When General Burutai was appointed, how long did he say he will end it? How long have we been hearing of all these things? What Nigerians want to hear is not when it will end. But Nigerians want to see practically that it has ended. That is what Nigerians are interested in.
So you're not optimistic?
No, I'm a practical optimist, not an optimist based on mirage. I'm a practical optimist. I believe in this. Okay, it will end in 17 months. What practical mechanism have you put in place? Educate us. Convince us based on the practical reality. What have you entrenched practically in support of your own assumptions? So on the basis of which we scientifically analyze it and say, yes, we have seen the Messiah now, who will come and give us the El Dorado.
Oh, wow. All right, then let's just end this conversation here. Thank you so much for your time with us, Dr. Umar Ibrahim Mainasara. It's always a pleasure having this talk with you.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
All right, we have been chatting with Dr. Umar Mainasara. He is an international analyst on peacekeeping and nation building. It's time to go on a quick break, and when we return, I will introduce our second guest. Stay with us. We will be right back.
This is the demand. These are the demands of people who are going to retire and people who are already retired. So why do you put a bar on a particular people to enjoy certain benefits? So it is not the fault of the president. And that is what the Minister of Defense is trying to correct right now.
Okay.
Because what happened was that the eggheads at that time, surprisingly, put a caveat around certain categories of officers.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is not the fault of the president. It is not the fault of the Minister of Defense. It is the fault of defense secretaries.
Glad to have you back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation. We are reaching you from Captain's Television Studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Like I said, I will introduce my next guest. He is Air Vice Marshal Monday Riku Morgan, retired. He is the former Chief of Defense Intelligence, Nigerian Armed Forces. Yeah, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Great to have you.
Thank you.
Should we say happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day to you?
Thank you very much.
Great. All right, now let's start by let's talk about the Nigerian military officers, as not too many people understand what it takes to wear that camouflage or fit in those boats and actually be right there at the battlefront or the war front, right there at the devil's feet. So walk us through on your own experience. How was it like?
Okay, thank you very much. Today is a wonderful day for this kind of remembrance. A typical soldier left his family and decided that he should be one of the foot soldiers to defend the territory of a country. And that is a very serious decision for a young person. That when the chips are down, you will be one of the men in the society to give succor to the entire citizenry by protecting the entire territory to make them have a better and safe dwelling. So it's a very serious decision. When most of us who became military officers growing up, we knew the challenge was an onerous one, and that if you were going to the military, you are going to face hardship, you are going to project your country in a way that you are an honorable man. So joining the military, most of us, especially the officer corps, we came in between the age of 16 to 18.
Oh, wow.
And at that period, that is the best stage for the youth to get indoctrinated for national interest.
Okay.
So we knew that when the time came, we were the one that was going to face the battle. We were going to face the bullet on behalf of the rest of Nigeria. So, and I think for me, I was trained a fighter pilot.
Okay.
So early in my life, I've been on several operations, especially outside this country. At the time of the huge insurgency in West Africa, in Sierra Leone and Liberia, some of us were sent to represent Nigeria in the ECOMOG peace enforcement war to ensure that Liberia and Sierra Leone survive. And we are a very few pockets from the air asset. And Nigeria had a wonderful military. The Navy, the Army. And you will be very proud to see that we had a wonderful synergy whereby you will have classmates, people you trained together initially in the military academy, and you saw yourself in the battlefield to project a name called Nigeria. And I think in the history of external operation of the armed forces, Nigeria presented itself as one of the best military at that time, between 1989 to 1996, because we extricated the Sierra Leoneans out of the jaws of insurgency. The same thing we did for Liberia, that they have peace today. So, in the battlefield, for the first time, we were taking airplanes to shoot, to kill people.
Okay.
Because you sat in the airport where the body bags of your classmates are being brought from the front. And you can imagine the madness that this was the guy you and him sat not just about a few days ago, preparatory to insertion into the battlefield. And 2 days after, you see him, a lifeless object. So we've done this, and it's a very serious activity and job for any human being. I'm a very proud officer that have contributed in that way.
Okay.
And outside these operations, we've been to United Nations operations. I have been part of a United Nations operation outside West Africa. And so many of us, we have sweated for other countries to ensure that peace was there. So we lost a lot of people. We lost people. Some people became disabled, mentally and physically, and some never survived. So those of us who went through this fire line and came out alive, we want to give glory to God. And that is why the essence of the Remembrance Day. Because the Remembrance Day, you can understand, was a product of the Commonwealth, the British colonialists, because some of our men, our great-grandparents, joined the war in the First World War. So it was a commemoration that was organized. They call it the Poppy Day, celebrated on 11 November.
November, yeah.
But then, at a later stage, when Nigeria was threatened of disintegration, and General Yakubu Gowon, a great general, and very young at that time, mobilized the whole of the youth in Nigeria that no, the Biafrans can't separate because they are brothers. So a lot of people were made to join the military to ensure that that secession did not take place.
Okay.
And today, Nigeria became united after the liberation of the Biafrans in June. I mean, in January 15, and Gowon made that date because already we are independent, and say, look, 15th of January should be remembered as a unification day for the progress of Nigeria.
All right.
And that is why we celebrate the Armed Forces Day on this day.
All right, quite a lot of things you said in just the space of few minutes or seconds. Now, with all these years, looking back at the surge or the burgeoning stage of insecurity in Nigeria, a lot of our gallant soldiers and men and fellow compatriots have actually gone down, had their lives cut short, like you talked about, or some either amputated or had physical injury or mental injury, like you talked about. You look at people like Tolulope Arotile, the recent ones, and then you talk about the former Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Ibrahim Atahiro. You talk about so many people, Major General Hassan Ahmed. A lot of people have gone, too numerous to mention. So how much support, how much encouragement will you say that has been given to the families of these people all through the years? And how much has been done to those that have given their lives to serve their father's land, on whose back this nation is built, even until now?
Okay, you're not talking about the welfare of the veteran. and the members of the armed forces entirely. Over the years, the armed forces of Nigeria have been having issues of welfare, and especially the veterans. But I think, to be fair to the present regime or the administration of President Muhammad Buhari, he has been very focused in trying to solve the problems. Because the structure to actually build a very robust welfare program for the veterans and even the serving soldiers is ongoing in the armed forces of Nigeria. Okay? It is not, it's ongoing. It's a highly, very dynamic thing. That you could remember about, let's say, 10 years ago, when our members were always going to sleep on the at the junctions or on the bridges in Abuja, protested.
But you have protests recently.
Yes, but that has gone off, because when the president came in, he ensured that a lot of things were put in place. Yes, the last protest that you saw was not the fault of the president. Because if, for example, if the president says, okay, look, give me the welfare needs of the armed forces and even the veterans, the workers in the system must do their work well. The president has so much job to do. So the guys in defense headquarters, why did they not put a proper memo to the president and say, this is the demand, these are the demands of people who are going to retire and people who are already retired? So why do you put a bar on a particular people to enjoy certain benefits? So it is not the fault of the president. And that is what the Minister of Defense is trying to correct right now.
Okay.
Because what happened was that the eggheads at that time, surprisingly, put a caveat around certain categories of officers.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so this is not the fault of the president. It is not the fault of the Minister of Defense. It is the fault of defense headquarters. But the current boys in the Ministry of Defense are definitely correcting those issues, because these are people who, like all of us who are battle tested, these are boys that are battle tested. And they understand the feelings of the serving soldier, they understand the feelings of the veteran. So as far as I'm concerned, General Magashi was with us in Ekomog. He fought the war with us. He understands the feelings of and people who are around him in the Ministry of Defense. General Jibril, who is a technical advisor, is also a combatant, a great officer. Like they will not mismanage whatever the president's idea thinking is all about. Okay.
So do you think that this will in any way dampen the morale of the serving officers?
No. When once they, let me tell you something. When a soldier knows that when you retire, the country takes care of you, as he is fighting, he fights with a lot of courage.
Okay.
So as long as President Buhari is working tirelessly to ensure that the welfare of ex-servicemen and their families are being taken care of, it shows that it's an incentive for a soldier to go and get dug in and ensure that he does what is supposed to be done.
All right, great. So now I always refer to that popular phrase, the labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Yeah. And this is attributed to those who fought, those who sweat blood and shed tears upon, like I always say, whose back what we now call our territorial integrity is being Nigeria is being built upon. Now, would you actually say that the labor of their love, the love and all, has it been put in vain?
You see, look, one of the things that I like to say here is that the big problem is that if you compare what Americans and the United Nation, the United Kingdom or European countries are doing for their military. If you compare it to what is happening in Africa, and then go around and compare what is happening in Nigeria, we are a little bit better, Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
For within the environment of Africa.
Oh, okay.
Okay, or particularly West Africa.
Okay.
And I think all this boils down on the economy of each country. However, my advice to government is that why is it so difficult to copy the good things Americans are doing for their soldiers? The United Kingdom, where we copied from, are doing for their soldiers. Why is it not so in Nigeria? Because in America or in the United Kingdom, the soldier, the serving soldier, is waiting and working hard to attain a retirement age to enjoy benefits. Because the benefit is so huge, to such an extent that he would know that the sweat he put in the defense of his country was not in vain.
Okay.
And this is where I advise the federal government of Nigeria to do, because, and there must be some form of orientation. Like now, today is, we're celebrating the unknown soldier. It's a commemoration to say one man died that we be alive. Some people suffer that we sleep. All the departments keyed into this kind of orientation. What have different social organizations, non-governmental organizations, been doing for the widows? What are they doing about the children of the fallen soldier? In the UK, in America, a fallen soldier's children is not left alone. So also in the UK, in Europe. So those kind of things, I think the Veteran Affairs Department that the Defense Headquarters has created and is going through, or even within all the three services now, will be looking at those global best practices and infusing into our own system.
Okay.
I think that is the thing. That because, like I say, the boys that are in charge right now are our own offshoot. And our generation is a very forward-looking generation. Because we believe in technology, we believe in, we know that the world is now a global village.
Digital.
So we cannot be left alone.
All right, great. All right, so I'm going to ask you a very personal question. Now, with all that you have gone through during your service days as a military person, now you've seen it all.
Yeah.
You've been there, done that, from the experience compared to all that happened then and now. So would you actually allow any member of your family to go, or a young one to actually go enroll into the NDA or serve in the Nigerian military? Because these days you see that then the excitement that comes with when you get the recruitment, or maybe you get the admission into the NDA, that excitement is second to none, and everyone wants to be happy, everyone is happy about it. And then you have people, patriotic citizens like you, that we're ready to go through that humongous sacrifice for people, like you said, to have sound sleep and be sane. So would you actually say that these days that Nigerians, we still appreciate the work of the military soldiers, and will you allow someone around you to actually go through as a Nigerian soldier, or has it actually lost its luster?
No. My son is in the military, for example.
Okay.
He's a very young man, he's in the Navy. A lot of, you see, soldiering is in the blood. My dad was a soldier. And my senior brothers, who were even old enough to be my father, because my father was polygamous.
Okay.
Joined the military during this Nigerian Civil War. They were very young.
So it's like a button.
So it's a family issue, and the courage is not bought on the market. It is only people who are endowed with natural courage that have the instinct to join the military. The military is not for lily livers. It's for men of courage. And families, it's a kind of DNA in families. It's just like when you look at the anthill, the mother, the queen termite, is relaxed. A group of people are there hanging around her, but the ants are the foot soldiers. Okay, so it's something that is naturally endowed.
Okay.
So we don't want people that cannot face hardship to be in the armed forces of Nigeria. One thing that I like to say about orientation is that if you ask me today, I will try to prefer a solution to the insecurity that is going on in Nigeria. How does insecurity, especially insurgency, permeates? How does it permeate? Because you have some idle pools of unemployed youth who could easily be mopped up to be soldiers to protect the territory.
At their young age.
Yes, because look, we got a few things when General Gowon, after the Civil War, created the National Youth Service Corps. It was for integration. That time is past. What I expect Nigeria to be doing right now is to tweak the educational system to such an extent that between the age of 16 to 18, a young man has been indoctrinated into serving his nation. There are countries that do that. Uruguay, Paraguay, Israel. So you see a young man, anybody you see in Israel is a trained soldier. Not that he is trained and work as a soldier, but he is a trained soldier, and periodically he goes for retraining.
Okay.
So I believe that if we create a situation where the educational system ensures that by the age 16, the child is already done with secondary school, and there's a stop. He must go for national training, for reorientation, to study what national interest is, the protection of territory. And also that will involve military training and deployment to serve after a whole year of those orientation and training. The second year, he is deployed to paramilitary organizations and military organizations to serve. And thereafter, at the age of 18, when he finishes that service, he can go to the university. He now goes to university as a matured person with this a huge orientation that I cannot be instrument to distort national security.
Okay, so I've actually heard that thing, reports some time ago where they said maybe they might indoctrinate it from the youth service, and then...
The youth service is too old. You cannot be indoctrinated at 22. There's a failure of parental upbringing today. So a lot of parents are not coaching their children. At the age of 16 to 18, if government takes that control and reorientate the children for national protection, for national interest, when the child goes to university at 18 or 19, he will not be attracted to cultism.
Okay.
He will not be attracted to, because he now knows that he's a Nigerian and proud Nigerian, and that his country is dependent on him.
When you say that, when the government takes up that mantle, should it be done by force?
It's not the first thing.
Okay.
Okay, by policy.
Oh, okay.
By policy. It's not a question. If you don't do it, there are repercussions that along the line, as you grow politically, you can be a leader in any department.
Oh, so there should be policies.
Yeah, it's a
set
policy.
aside.
It's not a coercive issue.
Okay.
It's a policy. And whether we like it or not, no child, if you look at it carefully, education, what is education? You send a child to go to school. No human being wants to lose the freedom. Okay?
Okay.
And when you look at a child, if you allow a child to have total freedom, he will not go to school. Because he likes to sleep. But he likes to wake up and eat. But he must be coerced to go to school. So though coercive, there are mild issues and based on policy of a country.
All right. All right, even as we begin to round up now, so let's talk about the trainings that the military men actually go through, and what kind of trainings they actually go through. Because now, when someone wears a camouflage or wears something that looks like a camouflage, and then military, these civilians, and then you're being caught on the road, the kind of treatment that they give you, you will not even dare it in your life. So, and this actually affects or impact on the average Nigerian, their mentality of the average Nigerian soldier. So, is that part of the training? Is it within the ambit of the military and the armed forces law? And how can that be softened a little bit? Because some of these clothes might not be you deliberately wore the camouflage. It just looks like the color.
I know, but the truth of the matter is that certain, especially the rank and file, they might likely overstretch their bounds. Okay, in many occasions. However, because it is because of the security situation in Nigeria, by right, the military should be very far away from the civil population. Okay, but because of internal security challenges, you are seeing soldiers regularly. By right, they should be confined to the barracks far away.
So you should not be seeing them in the streets,
in the streets
or on the road.
Yes, and also the civilians should also know that certain uniform or certain encounterment are purely for military people, so they cannot just wear them. But where they wear them, the way and manner is handled is what you are talking about.
Exactly.
Okay. So there's always this issues that come up from time to time, but then the leadership of all the military, the Navy, Air Force, Army, will always know how to handle them. So the military is your friend. The military is your friend.
The military is your friend?
Yeah.
I like the way you say that.
Yeah.
All right, now even as we begin to run, what are your last words to Nigerians, to the serving soldiers, even as we commemorate this day, Armed Forces Remembrance Day?
Yes. The time has come that every child, the youth, should understand that this country is too big for an individual, and that certain people, by instinct, have decided to sacrifice their own comfort for the majority of Nigerians, and that the soldier is a man that should be respected, that the soldier is never an enemy, is a man that is so disciplined, is like a Spartan that will protect the walls of your environment.
Okay.
And let the youth have courage to join the military. Let the youth understand that there is something greater than money, which is honor. If you look at it carefully, most military officers are very proud people. But Nigeria must return some kind of kindness to the armed forces of Nigeria.
Okay.
Because in the US, they are prioritizing all the things that we do. When you go to a public place, the civilians come to approach you. Please go ahead of us. They announce flights. When flights are about to board, they humbly announce that service personnel should board first. Service personnel have rebates for tickets, for travels, for air journeys. Can Nigeria do that for members of the armed forces, serving and retired? Can we return a kind of reciprocity in terms of, say, you have served us, you deserve our respect? So on this note, I just want to encourage Nigerians to look at the military as a bunch of great men that have sacrificed their comfort for them, and that their children should be respected, the children of the fallen heroes should be respected, and that any organization, civil organizations, institutions should understand the task that these guys have to perform to protect them.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time with us. It's been a very wonderful time talking to you. We have been chatting with Air Vice Marshal Monday Riku Morgan. He retired. He is the former Chief of Defense Intelligence, Nigerian Armed Forces. It's been a wonderful time having this discussion with you.
Thank you very much.
Now, you've heard it all. I'm sure you must have been informed, educated, rightly educated, and entertained. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you take our time to honor and respect even our fallen heroes and the serving officers. We all, from Kaftan TV, we honor you all, the fallen heroes, and we respect every of our serving heroes as soldiers. From this time on, I'll see you again next week, Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. rather. Thank you so much for watching. I am Annabelle Oji. God bless Nigeria.